look at the not highlights rather, but statistics of the entire 90 minutes that are coming on your screen right about now. Here we go. Well, 44% ball possession for the French, with of course 2 yellow cards. And on the other side, it's 48 ball possession for the Spaniards. And all have been balanced in terms of attempts at goal, 10 apiece. But on target, the French were the ones that actually had more, but didn't count. Spaniards only 2, and they made it count. Now that shows, Felix, that the Spaniards were more clinical than the French in here.
Oh yeah, of those, apart from the penalty, of those 2 attempts, one went in. And the French, what time were those attempts on goal? It's
second half.
At the end of the game, 2 of those in added time, And as we say, who controlled the game is the Spanish, and it was mostly controlled in the midfield, and that's exactly why you see possession at 48%. And look at the ball recovery, 11 seconds, yeah. Which is very good. In fact, that's way higher than the 15% that the French had. And look at how many passes they had. They had way more passes than the French. They control the game throughout, and they're the ones who played the football right here, we should say. I give it all out to Laporte, the central defender. And the young boy, that's Pau Kubasi, the 19-year-old Barcelona defender. He played his heart out in that central, defense. And then you give it to Rodri. I would put Rodri as man of the match in this game.
I think the defensive solidarity of the Spanish side contributes very highly to those statistics there. If you look, there were only 20 shots on target. And if you remember very well, Spain had faced only 7 shots on target previously because of that defensive formation that they have. And still, that is testimony to it. There are only 5 on target in the entire game, which means they were cancelling each other because it's 3 and 2. They're actually more on the other side of the French side. But it means they're cancelling each other very well at that point. But that is testimony to the fact that the Spanish side will play very good defense, but they'll play counter-attack at every time.
Well, just remind you that the Spaniards are currently, this is their second semi-final they've actually played. Remember, they managed to beat, I think it was German, that they managed to get hold of in 2010. Now they've actually gone on to win this one against the French. So they are a very good side in terms of playing finales. And this time around, they're waiting for the winner between England and Argentina. But let's have a look at the road to the final here, coming up very, very shortly, in order for us to see how it's panning out. Because we already have one team at the final. We're just waiting to see the other one. Here we go. And you can see, as a matter of fact, that the Spanish have actually been running riots ever since the round of 16, where they got the best over Portugal. Then they beat Belgium by 2-1, and now here they've actually beaten the French by 2-0. On the other side, we are waiting for the game between England and Argentina, and that's going to be our road to the final. So like we said, the French have booked themselves for the third place playoff, and Felix Apau said that is a match they did not want to play. But gentlemen, we normally say that where you play your game does matter, because if you look at Dallas, the Spanish have done it again in Dallas. They beat the Portuguese there 1-0, and they have actually beaten France.
I think the only game they struggled in that whole matrix was the game against Belgium, because they had to overcome Belgium with a late substitution. Remember of Merino scoring in the 80th minute of the game in that 2-1 victory. And Merino is a man who's come in playing only from the 85th minute in all the games they were playing. So that is the only one they suffered. But if you go backwards during the Portugal game, remember we said there wasn't much that was being played in that game. It looked like a training ground because everybody kept possession, and ultimately it was just by that single goal that they won. They actually only ran riot against Austria when they won 3-0. But it looks like they've been coming in very calmly and are very cautious and very patient in front of goal, and that is how they have managed to crawl nicely and quietly into the final of the 2026 World Cup. So it's kudos to them. Again, it's because of the strategy they're using. Very good defense, very, very patient in the midfield, quick, rapid transitions, and then getting into the box and scoring the goals.
Well, Felix Apau, if you look at from the round of 32 to the semi-final, you realize that Spain have been holding ground really well. Conceded only 1 goal.
Oh yeah, and they've only conceded 1 goal. In fact, the whole tournament, even if you talk of the group stages.
Yeah, from 2022.
It's a big record by a team like that.
That's something that shows, you know, how good tactically they are. And if you talk of, you know, the different games that they have been playing in this tournament, I think De La Fuente has set up a very good, I would say, a team whereby tactics do change as per the opponents that they do meet.
Yeah.
This game right here, what they had to do was to force France to play wide. Control the center, play wide. And if you play wide, make sure also that the balls, when they are wide, don't get to certain players. And how many times did Dembele get the ball when he was in his position in attack? How many times did Mbappe get the ball when he was in his position in attack? Mbappe had to try most of the time to try and go deep, to try and get the ball. You know, just because that's central midfield, you know, orchestrated by, you know, that's the Man. In fact, he's leaving Man City. You never know, you know, Rodri. He controlled that midfield together with the Paris Saint-Germain central midfielder, you know, Fabian Ruiz. They did very well, and then leaving the creativity to Dani Olmo.
All right,
and that's where the second ball came.
Spain have just beaten the best team according to FIFA rankings from the World Cup.
It will change.
Now, do they now go on top?
It will change because you
have to go on top.
You get points for every win, and also for every win over which kind of opponent you are having. Remember, they took over the position from the Argentinian side, which didn't do very well coming into the semi-finals, having fought very hard against Egypt, having fought very hard against Cabo Verde. That is how the French team now became top in these FIFA rankings. With this win now, I'm sure by tomorrow we'll see the change in the FIFA rankings, as now Spain will go up, you know, after this win. And consequently, even as we go on and we come to the other semi-final tomorrow, whatever happens in those semi-finals directly affects your ranking immediately, and especially in a tournament of this caliber.
Well, Mbappe will be actually, he still has 1 more game to go.